Netflix just pumping out the content, man. It's
God, man.
non-stop. There's always something to watch on that channel. They actually just picked up the Ted Bundy Zac Efron movie today.
9 million.
So crazy. Like they're just constantly pumping stuff out. And one of those shows, Black Earth Rising, this I guess it's not really a courtroom drama, but it's a political lawyer drama
It's
about
about legal stuff. Yeah, it's a legal drama, I would
legal
say.
drama about war criminals during the Rwandan genocide and years afterwards, kind of uncovering some of what happened and trying to prosecute these people. It's interesting. It stars Michaela Cole, John Goodman, among a bunch of other people. This is a show that feels like it has all the elements to be a really interesting, gripping, great show. And somehow the formula just didn't add up for me. I think that it had some really good moments and there were some pretty good performances, but a lot of time it left me just feeling kind of like it missed the mark. Maybe it was pacing, maybe it was too many characters, I think at points, and a bit of a confusing plot, but I think there's a lot of elements that we can kind of dive into. But how did you feel about the show as a whole?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's another mini series, Hugo Blick, Englishman. That's what he's done recently. Was it the Honorable Woman and The Shadow Line, his most recent two? Maggie Gyllenhaal, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Christopher Eccleston. Between those two shows, like he's pretty well known in terms of making these UK miniseries. And this, again, like you said, on paper sounded great. Talking about some really heavy shit. Yeah, John Goodman is a supporting role. And then Michaela Cole, who's kind of been coming up for a while, really getting a chance to shine. And I agree. I think pacing is probably an issue. I think the script was just unnecessarily clunky, and like things were more confusing than they needed to be, because it's not like anything was that confusing or hard to follow. It just sometimes was presented that way, which is bad because you're already talking about, heavy stuff. So it's not the best mix there. Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, because I really liked how it started at first. And I was like, I'm really in already. I thought that first scene where the guy basically challenges Kay's mom on the the neocolonialism of it all, right? And it really reminded me of that Jeff Daniels scene in the newsroom, the first episode, where he's like, America isn't great anymore. It was basically the mission statement of the show right in the beginning.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is cool. I know exactly what they're going for. And yet I think they kind of like fumbled the ball at the end, because they never really delivered on that message beyond getting the initial premise. So it was disappointing. I still think there's a lot to like here, but as far as the co-productions, the BBC co-productions on Netflix I talked about recently, Bodyguard, Collateral, even Sex Education was made in England. This is probably on the lower end, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think what drew me in most was John Goodman. I think he's just a wonderful actor. And his character, I think, was somehow underserved, especially, or at least maybe John Goodman as an actor was underserved in this role, because he has so much charisma and so much charm. He can play so many different roles well. And I felt like he pretty much just had to be like a more subdued kind of middleman in this. He got really like one or two scenes to really cook. In one of those scenes, he was drowning in like a river, or what was that? A river, ocean, lake. And somehow Michaela Cole's Kay Ashby character is able to pull this 350-pound man out of the depths of the water after almost drowning herself. That was just a very bizarre and baffling and dramatic scene. But I felt like other than Kate, not many of the characters really got to reach their full potential. I don't know if maybe you agree with that, but I don't think that means that their performance was bad, but the characters, because there was so much going on and they had so many different people involved, never really got to be what I think they could have been.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, also, like a guy as talented as John Goodman, you give him like that oldest trick in the book. Here's your daughter in a hospital, easy sympathy, all / place to give speeches. Like,
right.
that's just clunky part of the screenplay that you just need to fix. I think in terms of like as the way the plot moved, I liked it. What was it, episode 3 or 4, where there was that old guy who made all his money off the ivory, like that mansion. I
Yep.
thought his exchanges with Kate were pretty compelling, but meanwhile, like the plot was kind of meandering the whole time, right? All to like, and like for that whole payoff was about this photo of these French soldiers, and like again the premise about like the culpability of the French and whether Europeans should be the ones handing out the justice for crimes committed in Africa, and whether that's just a new form of colonialism in the modern day. That's all really good stuff and worth exploring, but it just kind of seems like the weird plot almost got in the way of that more than it helped, And I didn't think the message at the end was all that compelling. So yeah, it's frustrating because like again, like I was really, really involved and really into it in the beginning, and I just think it just started to fade away as the screenplay just was unintentionally or unintentional forced errors all the time, So disappointing, but not bad. It's just you can just see the skeleton. You can see how much better it could have been, and I think that actually makes it even more disappointing because you could see the potential right there.
Yeah, it's such a great idea, and an interesting idea. I think the Rwandan genocide is one of the tragedies of the last 30 years that probably is least understood by maybe like the common American, or maybe even the common citizen of the world outside of some of these countries that were more involved and closer to it. So it's something that at least for me feels like it should grip my attention, and it just didn't. And I also feel like I mean, I think there were some really cool moments, but I think it almost got bogged down into all the moving parts, and maybe even like simplifying the script a bit would have really done some good. Hugo Blick though plays a pretty good like asshole villain. I gotta give him credit. He was the lawyer that got killed in the car. Like I hated him, man. Like I was like, damn, this guy is so good at being hateable. Also, shout out to Tamara Tooney.
Yes,
who has been in like a bunch of Law and Orders in the past and stuff, but she gets to be this like very powerful woman. And I thought she was actually really good in her role, and every time she showed up I really felt like she brought some life to what was going on, even if somehow she just was able to pull things together all out of thin air a lot of the time, and sometimes backhandedly. So any last thoughts on Black Earth Rising?
I'm looking forward to seeing more from Michaela Cole again. I think the screenplay held her and Goodman back, but she's clearly a talent. I mean, she was in USS Callister in a supporting role, and I believe she broke out with her show called Chewing Gum, but I was never really familiar with her. And I believe she's already in her 30s. So this is nice that she's 31. So nice that she's getting a nice look here. So I'm sure she'll get cast in some more stuff very soon.